you can access the project properties window just clicking in the project properties icon. The project properties helps you to set not only things that are going to happen across your project, as well as to create assets for your final publishing process. We are going to learn each one of the tabs right now. Let's start with the general. The general helps you to create things that will run across your project. For example, you can enable or disable the auto bookmark. Doing so, the last page seen by the user on his or her device will be the one that will start automatically the next time he or she opens the project. This is important to understand because if you set the auto bookmark, even if later on while designing and testing your project, you decide to see just the current page that you are working on, remember that even in the simulator, you are going to start seeing the auto bookmark page. So for example, if you are working on Kwik and ask Kwik to publish just this page and you start the simulation on this page, which is in our case page 6, but on your simulator the last page that you saw there was page 3. The next time that the simulator starts, you are going to see page 3, not page 6. Also, you can export thumbnails, and thumbnails for each page is a nice thing if you plan to create things like auto navigation. The auto navigation can be seen here in this example. You press a button and automatically you see all the page thumbnails and you can quickly go to the page that you want. In order to configure the navigation panel, just click the configure button, tell Kwik which position it should be used for the navigation, the color that you want to set, and the alpha. Also in the general panel, you can set page swipe for the entire project, and if you enable it, you can set the amount of pixels that are going to be calculated to figure out if the user is really doing a swipe or if he or she just touched the screen. You can set and inform Kwik that your project is going to be read from right to left. And also you can tell Kwik if you want to support, in our case, because this is a landscape orientation, the landscape in both orientation. This is pretty much what happens when you turn your device to the other landscape, meaning that if you are seeing the button in your right, what happens, and if you turn your iPad 180 degrees, what's going to happen, if the image stills or if the image will rotate with that. And then you can set how the project will scale in different devices. The stretch is the default one, meaning that, for example, this project was created for the iPad, but what happens if the user has, for example, a Kindle Fire which has a different resolution? In the stretch mode, you see that all the images were stretched to fit this new device. But you may say, no, I don't want to stretch. I want to have uneven image, meaning that I don't want to have any image stretched or losing its proportion. So you can come here and set even. With even, you can see that all the image stays in the same proportion, the original proportion. However, some part of the screen may be not seen because they are bigger than the device that you have. So if you decide to use even, you have to make sure that all the proper images are inside the other device resolution as well. But again, while they stretch the image, even keep it in the same size, although you may lose some of them. Then lastly, you have the letterbox. With the letterbox, you see black bars across or around your screen, but make sure that so this way you have all the image in the proper ratio. However, because the screen ratio is different from the iPad to the Kindle Fire, you are gonna see black bars on the right sides or the top and bottom sides. Make sure then that if you decide to use a letterbox, you create your own bars, or you have the image not moving out of the screen. Because let's see in this case here, while only this part here will appear on the iPad, everything out of the canvas in Photoshop will now appear on the other device, because now there's a space to show more of the layers than on the original iPad device. So again, if you're using Letterbox, or even make sure that you see the project across the simulator, at least on the different device that you plan to publish your app, because you potentially are going to need to make some changes. The advanced settings defines how the app will perform on specific scenarios, as well as helps you and your team to work together. The first checkbox defines how the app will perform when a suspended event occurs, meaning call from if you are using an iPhone, or if the user just click the home button, and what's going to happen when he or she decides to come back to the app. As is, meaning unchecked. Every time the user leaves the app and returns it, if the app is still in memory on the device, the app will return to the last scene or page the user has seen. If you enable the end application suspend, the app will be killed every time the user hits the home button or a call starts on the iPhone, for example. The expansion files is something that Google creates to help users with apps larger than 50 megabytes. So instead of uploading everything when the user decides to install your app, only the first 50 megabytes will be loaded. Then the expansion file will, meaning the rest of the app, will load just after the first loading. If you decide to use this on the Android, you have to enable this checkbox, as well as you have to provide the key that Google Play will send to you. Also, if you are working on a team, you can split your development in different quick installations. For example, you may be in charge of page 1 to 10, while another design will be in charge of page 11 to 20, for example. If you decide to use this feature, all you have to do is come here, set the page that it's going to start the project for you, in our example here 1, and set it to 10, for example, the manual 10, meaning that you will be in charge of page 1 to 10. The other designer on your team can come here and set start page 11 and set the end page to a manual number, or simply set it to auto. So if your project has 17, 18, or 25 pages, the other design will be working from page 11 to page auto. The Monetization tab helps you to set advertisement and or in-app purchase inside your app. In the first tab, you see everything relates to advertising. If your app is running on both iOS and Android, you see both checkboxes red for editing. However, if your app only works for Android, the first checkbox will not be available for you. If you click Enable iAds, all you have to do is to enter the iTunes bundle ID for your app and you are set. You can also enable Admob and inform the key that Google generates for you. For example, if you have a project running in both iOS and Android and you enable both options, the iAds will have precedence over the Admob. Remember, Admob runs in both iOS and Android device, while iAds only works on iOS device. You can also define where the ads will appear. You can have ads running in each page of your project. In order to do so, just leave it checked. Also, you can set where the banners for the advertising will show up on your page. So you can set the positions here. Your apps may also have in-app purchase. And in order to do so, all you have to do is to create the products in both iOS or Google Play stores. And remember, in order to have in-app purchase, you must be using Corona Basic, Pro, or Enterprise. All of them are paid versions of Corona. In-app purchase does not work with the Corona Free Starter Edition. After having created your products in both stores or in the store that you want to play, all you have to do here in Kwik is to click the plus button, enter the name of the product, product 1 for example, and the ID. And the product will show up here. And every time that you decide not to use a product anymore, all you have to do is just select the line and click the delete button. In-app purchasing Kwik works in a very particular scenario. You cannot buy points for a game or, for example, more lives or levels. All you can do right now with in-app purchasing Kwik is to unlock pages that you have already inside your app. For example, let's say you have a story or a game and page 10 is the page that you want to unlock only for paid users. So what you have to do is to create a product, and then later on we are going to see how to do that in another video. You tell that page is locked for purchase only. So when the user purchases the product that unlocks that page will be seen by the user. So you cannot download new content with the current implementation of in-app purchase or again levels or more points. In-app purchasing Kwik at this moment is just to unlock pages that are already in your app. You can set your project as a multilingual one in the languages tab. All you have to do is to click the add language button and inform the name of the language, for example, English. And you can set the ID. English usually is EN. You also can tell Kwik if this language reads from right to left or vice versa. You can also set another language, for example, Portuguese, and set it to PT, for example. A few tips on your language. The first language in the list will always be the default language, meaning the first one that's going to be used if the user is using a different language than the ones available in the list. For example, if you have English and Portuguese and the user is coming from a Spanish speaking country, which is different than English or Portuguese, English will be used in this case. Also, if you set the language using the 2 characters from the official list of 2 digits country codes, Kwik will also automatically load the app in the user's device without any need of manual input. Meaning, for example, if the user has the iPad configured for Portuguese and Kwik detects that there is a PT language inside, even English being the default language, because the user has a device set to read in Portuguese, Kwik will load the Portuguese language automatically. And like always, you can always select a language and press the delete button to remove it. Only use this tab if your project will have at least 2 languages. If it only has 1 language, you don't need to set anything. The Publish tab helps you to finalize your project, creating the proper icons and launch images as needed, as well as helping you to get ratings and reviews from your users. The ratings and reviews allows you to enter for both iOS and Nook, as the other Android stores like Amazon and Google Play doesn't require that. The app ID numbers. This is a string that both Apple and Nook provides in order to point to your own app. So this way, when users click a button for a rating, the app knows exactly what is the app being rated. So you can get both the app ID for the iOS or the app EAN via their stores. In Apple's case, the iTunes store or the Barnes & Noble Nook store. All you have to do is to copy and paste the strings here. Project Icons helps you to create all the icons needed for the app based on the different device that the app may be running on. All you have to do is to click this button and point to a rectangular PNG image. In our case here we have a master icon set in this file. Based on this icon, all the proper icons for the different device will be created, and at the end you're gonna see the new icon properly drawn here. The same happens for the launch images. Some devices require a launch image or a default image while the app is loading. So in order to create one, all you have to do is to click the button and point to a PSD or PNG file. Make sure that you are using, for example, a page from your project or a file with the same resolution of your default target device. So in our case here, let's select the first page of this app as the default or launch screen. When you click that, Kwik again will create all the default images in different sizes and orientations depending on the device that you are using. So here you go. Now your project has both icons and launch image already created for all the device that you are targeting.